This is a placeholder song, until we replace the old song. This is a placeholder song for Is This Anything?
All right, sorry I was late, everybody.
No worries.
I'm
That's
just out
okay.
there playing some 2K golf, whatever it's called. PGA Tour 2K.
Yeah. That's weird.
You overfucked around, is what you're saying.
Well, I thought it was at 3. I don't know why.
Okay,
thought it was
I
at
would have
3.
started with that.
Yeah.
Sorry I was late, everybody. I was just doing something kind of fun.
So I speak at high schools and middle schools, and that's what I did for years. And so one time a buddy of mine came with me because he wanted to watch me do it. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, he showed up at my house late. We're like 15 minutes late to this school, and he's like, I'm gonna die if I don't get coffee. I'm like, fine. So we stop and get coffee, and then we get out of the car. I'm like, yeah, you can't bring the coffee in, man. He goes, oh, they don't let coffee in schools. I'm like, no, we're 20 minutes late. You can't be 20 minutes late and walk in with fresh Starbucks, you douchebag. That's not how this works.
I used to be friends with this massive flake, like enormous flake.
Sure.
And we didn't have a falling out or anything. I just made the executive decision to not try to hang out with this person anymore because they were such a flake and it was annoying.
You didn't fall out with them. You just made plans and you just never.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he just stopped calling them. So it's been 3 years.
Exactly. I made plans with them and I didn't give them 10 reminder text messages.
Yeah,
and
now
then
we're not
that means
friends.
I've never seen them again.
Sure.
So, but I do have a friend who does still hang out with him. And one day we were hanging out and he's like, man, I just went to go see the movies with this dude. And, he got there just as the movie was starting. I was texting him the entire time, like, where are you? I heard nothing. And I was just like, all right, well, I guess I'm just seeing this movie by myself. And as soon as the movie started, he pulled up with his arms just like full of concessions, like more than one human being could eat. Just popcorn, candy, soda, hot dog. And then as the movie started, he's like, oh man, I'm so sorry. I left my phone in a cab and my credit card is at my house and my keys are somewhere, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, hasn't changed. Has not changed.
Were you trying to do an Andrew Rivers impression right there, or was that an accident? That sounded a lot like Andrew
But it
Rivers.
even
I thought the story was about Andrew Rivers to begin with, and then when you did the voice, I'm like, holy.
When I said massive flake, you were like, oh, that's Rivers.
I'm gonna make an Andrew Rivers joke just to be joke, and I'm like, that's a different different guy. I won't make that joke. And then you did the Andrew. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm here, guy. Like you just did the Andrew Rivers
get the
voice.
cadence down
It was
a little
so
bit.
good.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Well, I guess try it, maybe, man. I don't. That's a great one, Brett. That's a perfect one.
I'm on the tour with them right now, so.
Well, Jarret just got on tour with him, so I think that.
Yeah, potentially. The one that fascinated me about Rivers on tour was that when he got upset, and I could be misremembering this, but he sounded like he got more folksy the more upset he got. So like he was like really frustrated with this girl that he was talking to after the merch line, and he's just like going off, and then he just goes, golly.
He's like, take my shirt. That was a folk joke. That was a Mumford and Sons folksy joke. Okay.
How's everybody's levels? I feel like Bowers is louder than everybody.
I love the mid-show sound check. I've never seen this before. This is very cool. Nice job. We'd like to do 25 minutes and then do a sound check. If that's
it's a pain in the ass to edit because you're like, okay, I'm editing the show, and you're like, oh, cool, now the show's starting because we're doing that. Rob, could you
we're so funny right out the gate.
Yeah, we
like
just
it a
noticed
lot.
that we're so funny right away that we have to just be like,
it's
all right,
impossible.
we just know we're going to have weird volume on the most hilarious things that we say in the episode in the first 5 minutes, and then we'll do a sound check right after that.
That I do notice actually quite a bit when I'm editing episode. I notice I'm like, wow, we are right out the gate with some good stuff, and it's just way too much from you, and I can't hear him well enough. I'm like, I can't wait for us to do the sound check, and then we're
Rob's like,
Well,
and we're all like,
and I'm just throwing this out. Maybe 10 minutes before the show's supposed to start, you maybe do a sound check and make sure everybody's ready before we actually start. Look, I'm not trying to like tell you guys what to do or whatever, but like I was here at like quarter till, and I'm like, I'm in the wrong place. Like, no, we start the meeting right at when it's supposed to start. We don't ever actually come in ahead of time and check anything. We just turn it on and start. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, you do a sound check 20 minutes in. You guys were like, fuck yeah, we do. I'm like, all right, well, I guess you got it covered. So I don't need to give you any notes.
The thing is, Bowers, if we meet 15 minutes early to do sound check, we're just going to start doing bits immediately during the sound check.
That's true. That is the problem.
It doesn't matter.
Well, and by the way, that's what I love about you guys is that because we're all bit guys, right? Like, because I'm a bit guy too. So like, basically when I'm talking to you, I'm doing a bit. Like I'm working on some stuff, and the first 20 minutes I talk to you is here's the shit I've been working on this week or whatever, right? And so I love you guys too. Like, when we hung out in Vegas, Rob, like me and you just sat next to each other at that golf thing. Well, here's something I'm working on. Well, here's something I'm working on. And we just pitch jokes. This is our favorite thing. And because we do that, we're not annoyed by people. I think it's funny when people who can't write jokes are always, oh, what are you pitching a bit? Yeah, just because you can't write doesn't mean I'm a dick, man. You've had the same 8 minutes for 3.5 years. Maybe you should pitch some bits, you asshole.
Jesus.
Meeting.
Ooh, this tea is hot.
So anyway, I just love with bit guys. I love when I hang out with bit guys because like our favorite thing is to write a new joke. Our favorite joke is the joke we wrote this morning because that is the best joke we've ever written because this morning we were the best comic we're ever going to be so far. You know what I mean? So like be a better comic tomorrow. That's why tomorrow's jokes will be better than today's. But like, you meet somebody who has jokes that are 8 years old and I'm like, if you have to change how old you are in a joke, stop telling that.
I know. Sometimes I feel like I have a day where I didn't get a lot of sleep. I'm like, I was a better comic a few days ago. But and then I do love a person, but there are certainly comics that will work a bit in where it doesn't belong. You're like talking about your mother's funeral, and they're like, "Oh, I got a bit about that," and they like start, or they don't even say, "I got a bit about that," then they just start working in the conversation. You're like, "Now it's not the time, man."
Yeah, and I will say I do preface it. I'm not going to trick you.
Oh,
yeah, that's
I mean, I don't do that, but I will say like, hey, I got a joke I'm working on. What do you think? To my comic friends, that's kind of why we're friends, right? Isn't that the point?
Yeah.
I mean, there are other aspects of friendship, I think.
No.
Yeah, but not with comics. Like, I'm friends with real people for real things. I'm saying I'm friends with comics so I can pitch jokes. We're not real people.
I don't know if I agree
Hey,
with that.
Jarret, how you doing, man? I heard about, your sister being sick. That's not what we're here for, Brett. Okay?
Well,
You work
because
on
we
bits
know,
together.
we know it's gonna be. We're not gonna not be funny. It's like they can't not. I mean, it's just you can't turn it off on some level. So
Never call Bowers with a problem. Got it.
Yeah.
well, generally the only problems you have is what's the punchline for this joke. So I think that's where I can help. Is my point. Have you ever actually had a real problem, Brett? You don't seem like you have any real problems, right?
From what I know about Brett, that's accurate. There's like zero problems, zero issues, never had an upset day in his
That's right.
life.
You guys nailed me.
Steve was saying that when Brett drives, all the lights are green. Is that right? Is that a
That's
thing
that.
that
That's
happens?
all. You guys nailed it.
When I met Bowers, it was one of the most easiest, comfortable, smooth transitions into meeting a new person that I had experienced, like certainly comic wise, in a while. It was just super, and it wasn't because of like bits as far as pitching each other ideas. We were also very comfortable doing that, being like, "Oh, I have an idea. I want to work on my act." But it was also just like following that funny, just being okay to be like, "This is funny. We're gonna do." If this is the character I'm going to be the character. If this is the funny thing to say to the waitress, I'm going to say that. And we're just like tagging each other. And it was just so fun. And it was giving too. It wasn't a lot of like, I'm trying to one up you to be better than you. But it was like I was just an improv scene the whole time. And I was like, oh, this is so great. So that's what I loved about it.
Well, I appreciate that. And one of the things I learned this a long time ago, I try not to get into story wars with people. So like, once I tell you a story and then you tell me another story, then I tell you a second story, I'm not telling you a third story because after the third story, no one's listening to anyone's story. They're just trying to remember the next story they're going to tell because they don't want to lose their train of thought. And they're like, oh yeah, tell them about the mashed potatoes. Okay, mashed potatoes, 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 mashed potatoes. And the minute you're done, you're like, speaking of mashed potatoes. So I only tell two stories at a time just because I feel like once you do that, no one's listening anymore. We're just trying to battle each other.
I love that. While you were talking, I was thinking of something. I have a friend who I just like, we don't see each other very often, but when we do, we just get right back into our banter, but we don't waste our time like filling each other in on what has
Right.
happened over the course of our lives. Literally, I remember I walked in, there was like something weird about like the mashed potatoes or whatever. And we just started joking about that. And then it just, for like an hour and a half straight, it was like an improv scene where the suggestion was mashed potatoes. We left, we're like, see you again. I remember my friend was like, oh, how's Dave? And I was like, I don't know.
The mashed potatoes were funny.
We didn't catch up. We didn't like see what was going on.
Kirsten will do that to me all the time. When I meet up with a friend, she's like, "Oh, how are his kids?" I have no idea. He's like, "Did his wife get that promotion? I don't know. Is their house still on fire? Maybe. I don't know. We didn't get to it."
You know what I would pay money for? Here's what I would pay money for. If every time someone in my life died, I could click a button and for $5 they told me how they died. Instead of this vague shit on Facebook, we're like, oh, and they don't just tell us, like, what happened? Did this guy eat too much bacon? Did he step off? Did he get hit by a bus? Did he commit? Like, how can I help myself through what this happened? I mean, like,
there are a lot of
tell me what happened. They'll just be like
through the Facebook comments to figure out what happened sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, and they never had. And then you Google it. I mean,
I feel like occasionally there is a hero in the comments that's like, oh my God, Margaret was such a great person. I can't believe that her chihuahua went crazy and bit her throat out. It was such a sweet chihuahua. And you're like, thank you.
Yeah.
And I want to say, like, I think people don't put it because I don't know why, but I want to go realize if you don't put how they died, I'm going to assume it was a heroin overdose. So if you're worried about it being embarrassed, whatever happened to you, like, I'm going to assume it was drugs or suicide, and you're too embarrassed to put it. So just why don't you give us the real reason?
Autoerotic asphyxiation.
There you go. Hey, but that'll help me because then I just don't, use the rope
Just
as tight
assume
next
if
time.
you don't know that it's autoerotic asphyxiation every time.
Say that.
It's just like they did with COVID. If they're not sure, it's COVID.
They just put all suspicious deaths as
God.
autoerotic asphyxiation from now on. That's just their go-to.
There it is.
I don't know. It looks like he choked himself jerking off. Those are gunshot wounds. I don't know, but there's some ligature marks, I think.
I do like that sometimes somebody will just be like, what happened? And I'm like, oh my God, this person, how fucking rude. But I'm like, but
rude.
really, right? That's what I want to know.
Every person, like, if there's anyone in the comments that I'm even close to knowing, like, for real, I'm DMing them every time. What happened? What happened to your friend? How'd they die? It drives me crazy.
Never, I'm sorry for your loss or anything like that. Just what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about helping me, man. I need to learn lessons from other people's deaths. If you don't tell me how they died, I can't learn the lesson. Jesus Christ.
What happened? I'm trying to do bits here. What happened?
Don't think I'm going to cry. I'm only going to make jokes.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to make jokes. You'll like them. They'll be good, and they'll make you feel better. But somehow you're going to think I'm a dick at the same time.
Welcome to Is This Anything, everybody?
Oh, yeah. I was wondering how this worked. Have we started yet? Is this?
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
started.
Is this
one
still
more
the sound
quick
check?
Sound check. Yeah. Then we're
Welcome to the show, everybody. Today, our guest is Chris Bowers, the one and only. You may know him from SDSC and Origin Stories and a ton of other things. Thank you so much for coming.
Not a ton of other things. Those are probably the only
Okay,
two
well, I was
things
trying to
we
make it
did.
sound good, but
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
You don't have to
The
say
very
clubs and colleges. You
the
can just say
very
one thing
honest
I've
Chris
done.
Bowers here. Ladies and gentlemen.
MTV, Conan O'Brien.
My favorite is when you ever heard the guy whose credit was last comic standing because they scanned by them while they were in line? That
yeah.
doesn't count, fellas.
I got edited out of America's Got Talent, but they left in me fist bumping Nick Cannon and me in some background shots. But at the time, it was all I had going for me, and I did go through the thing, and I got like a really good response and stuff like that. So I was like, I deserve this as a TV credit, and I started using it, and then I stopped because then occasionally, like, somebody would be like, I remember you. You were amazing on America's Got Talent, and I would be like, oh, I was just in the background. They're like, no, you were, and I was like.
Well, maybe they were
Okay,
a fist.
yeah,
Maybe they were a fist bump enthusiast.
knuckle to knuckle. How did you? It was like a perfect.
I don't know how you didn't win.
Oh, you're a comic. I thought you were a fist bump artist. I didn't know what you were doing. I didn't know how you could make that into a Vegas show, but I was looking forward to seeing you try.
There's a bunch of laser shows. Boom, boom, boom.
It actually blows up. There's like gasoline and shit.
It's a pyrotechnic accident. Ah!
I'm imagining the show, you just keep on bringing people up from the audience. Hey.
Can I get a volunteer? Ooh, all right, I need another volunteer.
Okay, I have one thing to share with you guys today.
Okay.
Kirsten and I saw a ton of movies this weekend.
Oh, that's
great.
why you were
Which
late,
ones?
huh?
So you saw Precious? Is that what you're saying?
We saw Black Widow, Zola, and Fast 9.
Okay.
Okay.
In addition to seeing all those movies, of course, we also saw the trailers beforehand, and I am full up. I am done with this sound that they use during action movie trailers to sort of like, I don't know
Build
what
tension.
Yeah, and it's like, boom.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of.
It's like always like something big happens, running off the thing, and then I'm done with it. I'm over it.
Yeah.
If anybody here makes action movies and action movie trailers, new sound.
No
please.
more view. You know
One
what?
more different
I'm
sound.
tired of is the single plunk on a piano.
Mm.
Ping for like a horror or tense kind of a thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm
Mine
done
is
with that.
The boat horn kind of thing, where it's like,
Um,
and then some shots and stuff.
like
Shots
that
and stuff.
that Inception type thing. of
Yeah,
like,
Inception. I think Inception started it. Every once in a while,
Right.
there's a trailer disruptor, and then every trailer for the next 7 years is exactly that.
But it's hard to make people go see movies. So if it's a certain sound, I mean, there's a lot of times where
Holy
you watch
shit,
a movie.
Chris is right.
And you gotta. I'm saying there's a point where you gotta watch a movie and think, oh, that was for the stupid people to understand what the movie's about. That part wasn't for you.
When they go
didn't-
see the real movie,
they
they
had to
don't understand.
over-explain it for the dummy who doesn't understand what's happening right now. That's not for you. Don't get mad that that's not that part. You got to make the smart people laugh or like things when they are surprised. Stupid people laugh when they understand. You have to do both on some level.
Bowers' argument is basically like you're eating a bowl of Fruit Loops. You're looking at the box. You're like, "What's with the bird? I'm gonna eat the cereal. I like it. It tastes good. You don't have to keep on fucking with the toucan. Like, stop.
There's a toy. There's a toy in my cereal.
I was gonna buy the cereal.
Why would you put a toy in a cereal? I almost swallowed this.
Well, it's like people were yelling about the Wonder Woman movie or whatever. And blah, 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 and I'm like, it's for kids. Like, yeah, all these superhero movies are children's movies. Like, you can watch them as adults. I'm not going to rip on you, but they're not for you. You can't go watch Cars and complain that it was not mature enough.
That's
It's
not
for
how a car
children.
works.
Right? Like,
Our
don't know.
guest
I would say that-
today is Chris, lowest common denominator Bowers.
I
Fighting
would
for
say
the
that
idiots out there.
my problem with all the Marvel movies, here's what I'm working on. The problem I have with the Marvel movies is it's just indestructible people fighting other indestructible people where all they do is destroy buildings, which, I guess as a kid, I didn't know that was terrible, but now I know what that is. So, like, it's like, Superman, what the fuck were you doing? It's like, I saved Lois Lane. Yeah, but there was 14 9/11s. You just did 14 9/11s, Superman, to save one lady? What the fuck? Now that I know what happens when a building falls down, I can't watch those movies anymore. It's terrible.
You know who
Yeah, I
hates
remember
superhero movies? Architects.
they need to come up with like a super building movie where it's just like these really powerful buildings that just cannot be destroyed.
It's like Cars, but buildings. It's a Pixar
Yeah.
movie.
It's a building that gets bitten by a spider, and he's like,
I like the
The
beginning of
radioactive
this movie.
casino. That would be really good.
Beginning of this movie, there's a bunch of super people fighting it out, and then the movie's over, the bad guys are going to jail or whatever, and then one of the superheroes turns around and is just like, 85 Wall Street, we were fighting right there, and that building is unscathed. In the world?
looks almost stronger.
So
Okay.
so Leedy was in town in Hollywood, and so we were going to the Supernova show, and I just drove her down Hollywood Boulevard just because she'd never seen it before, and it was the Fast 9 premiere was at the Chinese Theater or whatever at Grauman's, and so as we're driving down the road, there's all these people lined up and shit. And she goes, "What's that for?" I go, "Oh, it's the Fast and the Furious preview." And she goes, "Why the fuck would you wait in line for that movie? Just go tomorrow." I'm like, No. No, it's the actual. Like, The Rock is here. Like, this is not.
Yeah, why doesn't
Why
he
would
just
the
wait?
Rock just go tomorrow?
It was the most adorable
Why wouldn't they just
19-year-old New Mexico thing I've ever heard. Like, that's stupid. Why would you wait in line for that movie?
Why wouldn't they just send Vin Diesel a copy of the movie that he can watch at home? Like, he's in the movie. I feel like they should just give him a DVD, right?
Like, this is
Man,
like the
Hollywood.
red carpet. She was like, "Oh shit!" I'm like, "Yeah, my bad."
That's my business. You guys got any business today?
I had a fun, really dumb moment with Rivers when he got joined us on the tour. Picked him up. We were going to the hotel. I was like, "Do you need a shower? I need a shower." He was like, "No, I'm good." And I got to the hotel room, turned the shower on, and it was just making this really high pitched sound, the shower stream. I was like, "Rivers, you don't mind if I sing in the shower, do you?" And he was like, "Is that you singing it?" And I was like, "Yeah." Then I got in the shower and the sound stopped. So Rivers hears from in the shower. He just hears it stop and he hears me go, "Squeeze." So that's been our go-to, the song of my people.
It's got to be better than the noises he hears normally coming out of your shower. I would imagine.
Yeah, it's kind of like.
I love that you come like you think it's gross. That's hilarious. This is disgusting.
Hours, I was getting into the grime. I was getting it off my body.
Oh, my bad. I misread your cum face for your I'm getting clean face. My bad.
The soap, it burns. Oh. So yeah, how's this new tour like treating you, Brett?
It's been really good. It's crazy doing these big theaters and stuff. But this is the first. Steve's doing way better, so we don't need to be in a shitty hotel ever. But
yeah, I can see the TV up in the corner.
Well,
no
that's what I was
shitty
going to
hotel
tell
for
you. But we're doing this casino in Crystal Bay, Nevada. And first thing when Steve went to check in, he was like, "I think this town has been on tough times." And I was like, "Uh-oh." So we got complimentary rooms for this because it's the casino gig. But the complimentary rooms, you can't see it, but it says heat, no AC. And yeah, it's been not the best night's sleep here. I'm a little beat up. It cooled off last night, but the thing is, doesn't help you if there's no window that you can open. So my options were sleep with the door open or just deal with the stuffy heat. And that's what was going on now. So other than that, though, the tour's been fantastic. It's been a lot of fun.
Me, Brett, and Steve during a leg of our tour together, we were in some garbage fucking hotel rental, whatever it was, Airbnb.
This is probably when the tour was doing the worst. I think those the legs that you were doing. Rob.
Yeah. And
if Rob was on the tour, we know it wasn't the best.
Yeah. as soon as he started to get some popularity, he kicked me off the tour.
You're always on the tour. He just sees which legs are going to be the worst legs, and that's the one you're on the tour. He wouldn't kick you off. It's just, All
right, Chicago, Brett, New York, Jarret, Saskatchewan, Rob.
Mole people.
He'll fit it in Alaska. Let's send him to Alaska. That'll be great.
Ooh, the Chud Show. Rob, you want to do the Chud Show?
So anyway, the story was just that there was no AC, and then Brett was like, "I can't fucking fall asleep. Like, we're not doing," and like our next trip was straight to Canada, which was supposed to be like a really long drive. And so we all just convinced him to be like, "Let's just leave now. It's 2 a.m. It's fucking hot. I'm not going to sleep. Like, let's hit the road."
That's not totally how it went down. I found a lady, and she had AC, and I was staying with her, and I was like, "Sweet, I got AC. I could sleep." And then Steve was like, "We got to get out of here." So I'm hanging out with this lady, and I just got a text like, "We're going to Canada. Let's go." And I'm like, No. I'm happy. I'm having sex. I have air conditioning. We'll pick you up in 5 minutes. And I'm like, God damn it.
What time?
You're trying to gather up all the air conditioning you can in that moment.
Packing it to go.
So I did a something in Illinois once. It was me and like 3 other comics. It was just a shitty gig at some whatever. They had like a snowstorm, like a foot of snow, so like no one was there. But there was this motel, like side of the road motel that like had. You ever been in one where it has a door on both sides of the room? There's one that opens to the parking lot where your car is, but then they have a room in the back so the staff can come in and out of the room. So there's like this weird hallway in the back. So we opened it up and it like had a light falling down. It was like that kind of crickly thing that's in like horror movies and shit. Yeah. And like the door didn't lock from the outside in, and it was so fucking creepy that all 4 of us slept in the same room because we were afraid we were gonna get murdered. Okay, like literally took shifts. Somebody keeping their eye open so the lady didn't come in from the fucking back and murder us all.
All right, that's one story. Bowers only has one more story left, and then he's done.
No, if we talk for a while, I can tell another story. I'm just saying, if then Rob went into his hotel story, and then I went to another hotel story, and then Rob did a third hotel story. I'm like, oh yeah, we're not listening to each other anymore. That's how it works.
Well, luckily we only have so much time, so I think it might be time
for bits.
to talk to our ambassador of joke order.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
We have a drunk Ruth Bader Ginsburg who tells us what order we're going in. All right, I spoke to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and she gave us our order this week is Brett, Rob, Bowers, Jarret.
Ooh, all right.
Brett, Rob, Bowers.
Oh, should we explain how the show works? Since
Yeah, let's do it.
I thought, Chris, maybe you'd seen it.
Yeah, I thought so too. Anyway, I'll explain how the show works.
Sorry. I probably should watch it, but I just don't watch other people's stuff. I don't know.
That's fair.
All four of us are going to pitch jokes. These are joke ideas that we
Let's
have.
do a sound
that are
check.
Super rough. Or they are jokes that we've done on stage, and maybe we've just kind of hit a brick wall with them. Whatever. We bring them to the group, and then we all help each other out. Offer ideas, pitches, tags, all that kind of thing.
That's right.
All right, let's kick things off here. According to literature, the jump from young adult to adult is crazy. You turn 18, you are fucking. That's it. That's the idea.
Wait, what was the very beginning part?
According to literature, the jump from young adult to adult is just a crazy jump. Because young adults, normal stories, normal relationships, and then adult books, that's sex.
But that's just because of the law, right? I mean, like, that didn't used to be the thing. I mean, Romeo and Juliet was about 13-year-olds. Lolita's a book. I mean, there were all kinds of books about young adults fucking. They just took the fucking out about 20 years ago, right?
Oh, no, what I believe Brett's joke is, in literature, when you read a YA novel, like a young adult novel, it is about teenagers just being teenagers and going on wacky adventures. But if you were to go to the adult section of a bookstore, it is porn.
Gotcha.
So,
and I guess what I'm saying is those young adult books, they're all still fucking in the maze. They're just in a maze and fucking. That's all I'm saying. They just don't say they're fucking because they're under 18, and that's weird. That's all.
So do you think that all books, Bowers, are adult books? They just took out the fucking for under 18? You're like Clifford the Big Red Dog. Oh, he was fucking, but it's for kids.
That dog fucks.
Editors, the hardest job they have is children's books because every book comes to them with a ton of fucking in it.
I mean, look.
there's just like,
Red
did you-
Fish, Bluefish?
Hey,
Did you
that
know-
house, that wolf wasn't really blowing down houses, you don't think, right? Like, come on, man. It's always been there.
Yeah, why do you think the wolf was telling Little Red Riding Hood, "Ooh, I like." Oh no, wait, it was first.
Better to eat you with? Better to eat you
better to
with?
eat you
Yes.
with. There it is.
Right? And
Ooh,
three
I
little
like
pigs.
your big arms.
3 little pigs, those were not actual pigs. This was
Yeah.
this is about finding air conditioning.
It was originally Clifford the Big Red Dog Cock.
Yes.
Because dogs have big red cocks.
Exactly.
And so,
Clifford the Big Red Rocket.
yeah, exactly. And then someone was just like, God damn it, this is going to take like 20
Now, by the way,
years."
there are adult books that aren't about fucking too, right? I mean, Moby Dick has
But
nothing to do with sex.
classified within literature,
Right.
adult books means sex books.
Yeah, if you're talking about like Moby Dick, that's in the fiction section.
Right. But if you go
I
to
see
the
what you're
adult
saying.
section, yeah.
I see what you're saying.
This is hard for Bauer. He's never been to a bookstore.
I think you just find more or is there, or then I like to take it a tangent of like, what else is there like that? Like, is there like youth soccer is different than adult soccer? Is it the same? Like,
that's
is
funny. I like
adult
that.
soccer always about fucking? Like, I don't know. Like, there's something in
there we
there.
go. There we go. I like that trajectory.
Or like that's like, and that's true because when I played youth soccer, I never got laid at all. But when I play adult rec sports, it's mostly about fucking or something like that.
I like the idea of
Yeah.
somebody showing up to adult soccer and
Thinking
league,
that it's gonna be porn.
and they're just like, they've just got like nipple clamps on, and they're like,
What?
Whoa, what?
We always thought it'd be funny to go to.
I'm sorry. I thought this was adult soccer.
We always thought it would be funny to go to like a to a Warren Buffett lecture, but dress in like Hawaiian shirts and like tailgate in the parking lot. We were at a Buffett concert.
Yeah, Margaritaville.
Fins, baby, and it's like it's a lecture on financial stability.
This is interesting, but I'm confused about what adult diapers are then, because
They just have a hole in the back.
it's like it would defeat all the purposes, you know?
I think I like that. I like that way to play with it. Just what other things are adult.
I had a joke years ago. I hate doing this, but just to contextualize it, where there were two different angles that I took. One is that there was an adult store in my neighborhood, and I would drive by when I was a kid, and I did not literally know what it meant. Like I didn't know what adult store meant. I was like, what are they? Do they watch the news in there? Like I don't know what's going on. Like what do adults do?
Covers on it and shit. Like
they're just like, hello, business,
It's just
business.
TVs with the show Cheers on.
It's like I'm supposed to be past 10 p.m. Yeah, it was all that. And then the flip side of that was like when I do watch TV shows and they're like, adult content. Like the only difference is that the characters fuck and they curse, and I'm like, adults do more things. Like there's other. It doesn't just define us.
We also do drugs. Like I remember when I was a little kid, like I liked girls early on. Like I wasn't one of those kids that like thought they were gross or had cooties or whatever. Like I liked them when I was like 5 or 6, but I didn't know what you were supposed to do to them because I was 6. I didn't know what sex was, obviously. I knew they were supposed to be naked, but I didn't know why. So I have these vivid memories when I was like 6 or 7 of going to sleep and fantasizing about like a naked girl that was on television, like just vacuuming because I didn't know what they were supposed to do. And it was like 78. And that's what my mom did, was vacuum. So I just assumed that like when you had a girlfriend, she would just come to your house and do all the chores naked. That's what I thought. And then like 3 or 4 years later, when I saw a French maid outfit, I'm like, oh, that does make sense. That would be sexy. Like it was this whole like.
Yeah, I remember being that age and also thinking that sex was just when adults put their butts together.
You were 30 years ahead of your time.
And then I saw Requiem for a Dream, and I was like, it is when you put your butts together.
Ash to ash.
That might be one of the scariest movies of all time, honestly. Because,
Not that
like,
part. That is hot. Just kidding.
The part where he actually goes to hell. It's like, oh god, that would actually be terrible if it was that forever. Like because I'm not afraid of much, but like, fuck, what if hell was real? That'd be a mind fuck, wouldn't it?
What movie are you talking about?
Like I don't think it is, but
Requiem for a Dream.
yeah, it's a Robin Williams movie, right?
No, I thought you were talking
Nope,
about
that's
metaphorical hell.
what
I was
Dreams
like,
May
oh
Come, I
yeah,
think?
he does go.
Oh,
to
my dreams may
hell.
come. I'm sorry, I got my movies.
I was like,
My-
yeah, they don't go to hell. They get addicted to heroin.
But they
Oh.
do ass to ass in Requiem for a Dream and What Dreams May Come.
No, that's not true.
No, it's the seventh layer of hell. It's all the
That's
sodomites.
how he gets his wife out of hell. He has to do ass to ass.
Nope. Fact checking that.
Beyonce was great in that movie.
What?
Oh, is that Dreamgirls?
Corey Haim was good in it too. Oh, that's Dream a Little Dream. Okay.
I don't know where you go from, because I like the pop of just like the first part of it, and I don't know if there's like new information that we can get from like talking about.
How about what if you went from the angle of you learned this when you were a kid, when you first stopped reading your first young adult book and read your first adult book, and then you were confused by all the other adult stuff in the world. Like you thought the adult room at wherever was all about fucking, or the adult room, like the adult room at church. I was like, Jesus Christ, what are they doing in there, or whatever? There's all kinds of places where kids aren't allowed to go. Like I thought the roller coaster was something totally different because you had to be at this high to ride the ride. I didn't know it was just fun. I thought it was or whatever. I think there's a bunch of different shit to talk about in there.
Oh yeah, I'll get into that. Hey, where's everybody? Where's swimming away from me?
What was confusing? The young adult book was mostly words, but then the adult book was actually a picture book.
Great notes, guys, and good tangent on dream movies.
Butt to butt. I'm going to keep it gross with you guys.
Butt to butt is the young adult version of ass to ass.
Butt to butt.
Butt to Butt sounds like an 80s sitcom on ABC right after right after Full House. It's Butt to Butt. They're conjoined twins, but they don't let it get them down.
What's weird is that they're joined at the arm, but they still call it butt to butt.
Butt to butt. Living our best life. Okay.
Keep it gross.
Yeah, I think we're already down the path. I was trying to think about which joke I should bring, but now I know what this crowd needs. I know what this show is about. So fake breasts are weird to me because they actually they look at their best when they're in a shirt. Like the fake breasts look at their best in a bra and a shirt. That's what they're designed to do. Like they're designed better for cleavage. When they're naked, they actually look at their worst. They don't do what breasts are supposed to do. They don't look like the way sometimes there's scars and they don't look like the right shape. It's very strange. They don't act the way normal breasts do. It would be like if you got a penis enhancement, but your penis looked the best while still in pants. Like the bulge, just like perfect, just mwah, of a bulge. You know, you take off the underwear, you're like, oh my God, look at that perfect bulge. And then you just take off the underwear and it's just still in a hook. Like it just it never actually does the thing the penis is supposed to do. That's the big visual reveal.
So yours is not in the hook naturally. Is that what you're saying? You didn't know. You're gonna alienate a few people in the crowd on that one. But
A lot of the front row are curved dick dummies.
oh yeah, curved dick dummies aren't gonna like that joke at all. You gotta. And it also sucks because it curves down. At least if it curved up, you could fucking maneuver it. But if it curves down, you know.
No, it's a gonzo nose. That's what gonzo porn is. Actually, it's just.
So when you get erect, it wouldn't like unfurl. It would just like move up,
just stiffen. Yeah.
just still curved at the end, but
that's exactly what the breast. Like you take off the bra and then the boobs just stay there, and you're like, "What? I don't know what's going on. Those aren't breasts." So I imagine just like you peel off this nice perfect package, and then you take the underwear off, and it's like, wait, is that? Yeah, that's it, baby. It's just
yeah. See, my problem is I can't buy your premise. I'm a big fan of fake boobs. That's my issue.
I see. That's why I moved to LA.
Not like, ugh, you're right.
Not enough in Indianapolis. He was sitting there in Indianapolis, like, something's not going right with my life. I don't understand. I feel like I'm doing everything right. There's just not enough fake breasts here. And then I moved to LA, and now I'm like, this is where I belong.
Well, that's why I like Phoenix and strip clubs. But and also, maybe you're just hanging out with women with cheap fake breasts. I mean, have you seen the good ones?
Yeah, that's the other thing is that if you get like I think the best fake breasts you don't know.
I don't know. I don't think the technology is there. Maybe one day it will be, but I don't think it's there yet.
Yeah. So I guess my only problem is that there's gonna be people that aren't gonna go with that premise in general.
Sure. Yeah.
But the people that are on board with it, they're definitely the analogy works perfectly. It's a great analogy and it's hilarious with the gonzo dick and all that. So I like it.
I think you could alter it to just put in that it's your preference.
Yeah.
Because of that, it looks that way to you. And that would completely solve that. But I do have a line for you if you want to do an act out of that erection and just kind of like, hey, baby, you want to get scooped?
Come here.
I think there's something that your dick looks like the Loch Ness monster, like it's always grainy and you can't see it from very far away. And also too, maybe make it about a specific girl you dated. So it's not about all fake boobs. You're like, hey, this girl had fake boobs, but my problem was her fake boobs were designed perfectly for a shirt. But once you took them off, they didn't do what boobs were supposed to do. It'd be like if I had a perfect dick, so then it's not a generalization of all fake boobs. It's just this one set you saw one time, and then no one can argue about it.
What I like about this,
my backhoe dick.
Yes. Well, she's your backhoe girl. So
what I like about this analogy, Rob, is that I think it's so universally accepted that like cleavage is this really hot thing, but I don't know if penis bulges are, but I like in the joke that you're assuming that they are.
Right. Like everyone wouldn't be grossed out by a penis bulge. Like we all love cleavage, but no one would be like, dude, look how perfect his dick looks. Like even girls wouldn't do that.
I actually, this is something that I've discovered in the last few years. I did not realize, but there are a lot of women who do love to look at a bulge, and I think they're a lot less.
I've experienced.
They're a lot less vocal about it, but it's definitely a thing.
See, I've never had a bulge, so I don't get that. But I will say I did have a pair of jeans once that had a string, like a kind of a white string that was obvious that would like hang down just from the crotch of my jeans.
Yeah.
And I noticed that anytime a girl noticed it, she was into me. Like most girls never notice it. But if a girl was like, you have a string on your pants, it meant she had been looking at my dick and she had noticed me. Every single time. It was a perfect, like, just subtle way to like see if a girl was into you.
This is
If she starts unraveling it, then you really know.
This is significant.
If you want to destroy my jeans.
Should we edit this out? This is a big deal. I can't let the world know.
This makes a lot of sense because on my first date with Kirsten, I had this neon arrow pointing right to my neck. I was wondering why she was so into me.
It's like I was wearing shorts on the train. My balls are hanging out in my pants, and the cops come over, and I'm like, "You noticed, didn't you? Somebody was checking out."
So I guess you were looking, officer.
Is there a rhyme that could go along with the "I'm a grower, not a shower" or whatever? Like I'm a hook, not a crook. There's probably something.
Yeah.
Like if you had a rhyme for what your dick was, that would be a super cool closer.
I'm a
hook, not a crook, or
I'm a something, not an unraveler.
Yes. I'm a world traveler, not an unraveler.
All right, next up we got Chris Bowers. Before we get to that, just want to remind everybody to check out our Patreon, patreon.com/ITAPod. You can join for as little as $1. Access to a lot of cool exclusive content, the high writing challenges, the sleepover, Halloween episodes, story time, and then there are all sorts of other cool benefits at higher tiers. Patreon.com/ITAPod. And now, Chris Bowers.
I just have a quick suggestion for the podcast. Maybe you guys should do a sound check as a Patreon exclusive. Like,
Ooh, that would be fun.
I would like that.
15-minute really funny sound check part is just Patreon.
I think we do have a good, very long sound check on one of our Patreon episodes.
We just finished putting all of the live episodes on YouTube for the Patreon members, and the last show that we did, I was tasked, I was like, specifically, Jarret, you have to include this part of the sound check because it's funny.
Yeah.
There is sound check on the Patreon.
Yeah.
Right now.
Wasn't it great, though, in review?
It was hilarious. It was super funny. All right, next up.
Well, I'm happy for you. All right. Okay, so I'm working on a concept. Concept basically is that what I've learned over the pandemic is that you cause what you fear. So, like, whatever anxiety you have in your brain and you're afraid of stuff. Like, so, like, if you're afraid you're going to be annoying, you say things like, I don't mean to be annoying or not to be a pain in the ass, but... And it's that mitigation that makes you annoying. If you just didn't say that, how many times do you have a drunk person who's like, sorry, I'm so drunk? It's like the only part that annoys me about you is that you keep telling me that you're sorry you're drunk. Stop it, right? Like if you say to a girl, hey, I don't mean to be creepy, well, now you are. Shut the fuck up. You cause what you fucking fear, right? So like if you're afraid this crowd's going to suck, I'm going to bomb, you usually do because you put yourself in a mindset where you cause what you fear. Here's one, like if you're a parent and you're afraid your kid is driving and you're afraid they're going to get in an accident or whatever, you text them, are you okay? What is the number one cause of accidents? Distracted driving. You just caused your kid to have a way better chance of having a wreck than you're literally causing what you fear. This happened to me at a comedy show last week. I was at this show and I went to the bathroom. I come out of the bathroom and this other comic I didn't know stood next to me and goes, hey man, sorry I farted in the bathroom. I said, what? And he goes, well, you were in the bathroom in there and I farted and I was afraid you heard it and I was afraid you knew it was me. And I said, well, I didn't hear it or know it was me until you told me. You literally just caused the thing you were afraid of was me knowing you farted. So you came out and told me you farted. So now that I know. So that's basically the concept. I don't have it like in a joke yet, but that's kind of the...
I see. Yeah. I like the idea of that guy before he went into the bathroom thinking, oh God, I'm gonna fart in the bathroom, aren't I? Don't. And all that just caused him nerves. It caused him to fart.
It's before a speech or before somebody goes, oh, I'm really, like before a best man speech, somebody goes, I'm really bad at this. Shut the fuck up. If you just stop being afraid of shit, if you stop like mitigating yourself, if you stop limiting yourself, then I've been working on that for like 4 months as an actual theory, and it's true. So I'm working on this new thing where I want to do like motivational jokes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I was going to actually say. It sounds like this is where that's kind of heading in towards, which is cool.
You just need to get a headset like Rob, and you're on.
I think that there's two different things going on here, and I don't know if they are always gelling, but I like each idea separately. Cause what you fear is very interesting, but then also the purely motivational speaker side of this, which is just don't come into the room apologizing for the thing,
Right.
because if you just deal with it, internalize it, fix that problem, because there's no good solution, right? You're either putting it on the other person. You're being like, I know I'm being a creep, but I'm trying to tell you that I'm not, or I know I'm doing this thing. Like, why don't you reflect, think about what you're about to do or say, change, not do it, or have the confidence to just go in there, give it your speech. Don't say you're bad at that speech, blah, blah, blah. And that stuff I really do like. Almost separately, I enjoy the concept of that you cause what you fear. It's so broad, it's so interesting, and it's got such a nice hook. But I don't know if every single example fits under that as much as it does the other side of it. That's my initial thoughts.
Sure. Oh, I had a thought and I lost it. Shit. Anyway.
Were you scared of it?
Exactly. No, I will say that's the one thing about smoking weed. I never used to lose my train of thought, and now I lose my train of thought a lot, which I never used to do.
It's not the weed; it's the fact that you believe that about the weed.
Yeah, it probably be. I mean, it could be, honestly.
I like this premise a lot, and I definitely agree with it. On like on a core philosophy. I had a friend who was really afraid of his girlfriend cheating on him, and he was really paranoid about it. And he would get so obsessive with it that he ended up pushing her away and causing her to cheat on him. Like, because he was so much like checking her phone and, like just so paranoid that it was like she couldn't, their time together was just spent him like trying to see if she was cheating on him. And eventually it was just like, she was just like, yeah, I just can't do it anymore. I mean,
I can't.
She should have just broken up with him, but
I'm not kidding. There's been 3 times in my life where I've said to a woman, "Well, if he's going to think you're cheating anyway, you might as well have an orgasm," and it's worked. I mean, that's happened 3 times in my life. Like you cause the thing you fear by being so jealous and weird. You pushed him away into something else. You know what
Chris,
I mean?
lowest common denominator, home wrecker Bowers.
I'm not going to.
Hey, it's not my job. Look, it's not my job to keep your girl faithful. Be a better boyfriend, and she won't come to me.
Jesus.
No, but it's just your job to be a good person, Chris. But that's okay.
What I think this joke needs, especially in the very beginning, is a ridiculous example. Because you give like 2 legitimate examples. I want to see what happens when someone's like afraid of werewolves. Like what is the manifestation?
Well, I mean, I thought about
that,
that. Like, well, here's one I thought about is like what's so funny is like all the people that stormed the Capitol were so afraid of the government taking their guns, they did things that are going to make the government take their guns. Like they don't like you're on the no-fly list now. Like the thing you were afraid of, you literally caused. Now a ridiculous idea of that. I mean, I thought the farting in the bathroom was my ridiculous one. I guess I could do that one first.
But that's a true story, right?
That's a true story. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
like I don't generally
like-
make up ridiculous shit.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you can prove it true and still use a more like ridiculous example.
Right.
I would like a sillier example at the beginning, and I think that the fart. If you start with the fart one, that's great because it is very funny, and I think probably the funniest example that you gave. And I am very curious about like where this guy thinks he's supposed to fart.
Well, and that's kind of my
Not
original
in the
thought
bathroom.
was like, yeah, you're supposed to fart in the bathroom. Good
Yeah.
job. Like you shouldn't apologize for farting in there anyway.
Yeah.
I had kind of a similar situation where I was talking to a friend about something, and then something came up where I have this sort of like philosophy or this saying or this like quote or phrasing that I come up with. And I wanted to repeat it there, but I felt weird quoting myself, but I also felt weird acting as if I'm saying it for the first time. So I did feel a little uncomfortable. I was like, well, there's this thing that I say where I and I was like, and then my friend was laughing at me where he's just like, are you just quoting yourself? Like, is this, he's like, was it me or Maya Angelou who once said,
But see, he wouldn't have bumped on it had you not prefaced it. It was the preface that caused the weird thought that you were afraid of, which is this motherfucker quoting himself, where if you would have just said it, he wouldn't even have thought about it.
Yes.
And that's kind of the point. It's like all this anxiety we have is not real. It's misplaced on some level. And that's another kind of motivational joke. If we can still, I don't know if I want to, how many I'm allowed to do, but like I like you guys' feedback. So, but anyway, is the idea of like, well, shit, I lost my train of thought again.
Next up, Jarret Berenstein.
Did I lose it?
son of a bitch?
Can I actually do one?
No, of course. I'm
Yeah,
joking.
yeah,
I'm joking.
So I have one more actual, and then if I think of the other thing I'm thinking of. So the other one I'm doing that's more motivational is the idea, So the anxiety one is, look, anxiety is real. It's evolutionary. We needed it, right? Like the people who could just sleep through the sound of a bear didn't have kids. They're dead, right? You need to go, oh, what the fuck was that? That's what got us to this point. But now we're at a point in society where we don't have anything to be afraid of anymore, really. Like that's really what COVID showed me. Was the first time I'm 48. I've never had to actually worry about death my whole life for probably the first time in the history of 48 of humankind, when you think about it, right? Like every other person had to worry about death, disease, war, famine, fucking the king killing you because he wanted to fuck your wife or whatever. And I have none of that. But that anxiety has to go somewhere, because it's just baked in us at a level. And so it's not that it's not real, it's just not, you don't need it anymore. It's your appendix, essentially, right? And so like we have to kind of realize that, yeah, your brain is like looking for shit to be afraid of because that's what kept it alive, but we don't have shit to be afraid of anymore.
I love your line here, the concept of I'm the first person who ever made it to 48 without having to worry about dying, like maybe ever. And like in the history of people, you know, how many people have made it all the way to 48 and has never even considered, never even thought how to brush up with, you know, death.
Right.
And here I am to be like,
I mean, like
eating ice cream.
Yeah, when my dad was 20, everyone he knew went to Vietnam, and half of them died. You know what I mean? And that's not a weird thing. I mean, think about World War II was even more. And I mean, like every generation of people had a thing, whether it was, you know, the plague or this or that, whatever. And this is the first time in history when that's not happened. So it's like,
you're just
it's kind of
like under safes that are hanging from
exactly.
ledges. And...
Like little kids worked in factories because their hands were the only ones that were small enough to get in the press. And sometimes your hand got cut off. I mean, that was... You know,
I did think of something for your previous bit, Bowers. What happens when you're worried that you're you're out of weed? Like when you're constantly focusing on being worried that you're out of weed. Like what's the consequence of that?
That's just like low stakes enough where it makes me
my favorite bumper sticker of all time said "Only users lose drugs," and I thought that was hilarious.
If you wanted to tie the first two premises that you mentioned together, you could say that anxiety that my father and my grandfather had in a world war where they were like, I might get shot, there are bullets whizzing behind my head. That now translates to, I think he heard me fart in the bathroom.
Right. Yeah. No, I like that. Okay.
That's really funny. That's a good tie-in.
Thank you. I like that. All right, I got one last one. If I can do one last one, is that cool?
Yeah, let's go.
Too long.
Sure.
So I took a bunch of mushrooms and I tried to teach this dog how to tell time. And so
you should have started with this one, man.
Well, this one's more done, but I think you might be able to help me on some of the little actual points.
Right.
But anyway, I've actually done this one out loud before on a stage. But anyway, but just once. But anyway, so here's what happened. I was at a Mexican restaurant. And my friends have this 3-month-old Pomeranian puppy. She's adorable. She's awesome. But they brought her to dinner, and she was barking a little bit. Not a lot, but like I know that if I was at dinner and somebody else had a dog that wasn't mine, I would want them to try to make it not bark. So just like, let's not be an asshole. So I'm like, I'm going to see if I can make this dog not bark. So there was a whole plate of fajita chicken that someone hadn't eaten. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to give the dog, I gave the dog a piece of chicken. And I said, all right, man, don't bark for 10 minutes. And I'll give you more chicken. And I showed it my phone, and I had the clock on it, and I kept pointing. I'm like, 10 minutes, right? Now, I didn't think I could teach a dog how to tell time. I'm not stupid. But here's what I was hoping. I was hoping that I could teach that dog that if it barked, it got no chicken. And if it didn't bark, it got chicken. And the longer it didn't bark, the more chicken it got. I thought that was a good lesson for a dog to learn. Sure. So I did this for an hour because, you know, mushrooms. So I did this 6 times. The first time it barked at 7 minutes, right? And I waited to the full minutes, but I gave it a little bit of chicken. The fourth time it barked at 8 minutes, and I gave it a little bit more chicken. Then at 9 minutes, I gave it a little bit more chicken. And the last time it didn't bark at all. And at 10 minutes, I gave it all the chicken. Now, I don't know if I helped the dog or not, but here's what I learned. The key to life is waiting the full 10 minutes. You can't panic and bark early because you're afraid you're not going to get any chicken. Because when you bark early, you get some chicken, but not the right chicken and not enough, right? There's all kinds of barking early. You bark at 5 minutes. That's you're lonely at 20 and are afraid no one's ever going to love you, so you marry the wrong person and fuck up 7 years of your life, right? There's some chicken, but it sucks. There's that bark at 6 minutes. That's where you take that job at 25 you promised yourself you'd never take because you're tired of being poor. Yeah, it's chicken, but it's not the right chicken. Then there's some famous barks. Like there's that 7-minute bark. That's I'm an actor, but it's in porn. Not the best chicken. Then you got that 8-minute bark. I'm famous on TikTok. It's not the same thing. Then you got that, this is the hardest one to get away with, that 9-minute bark. Right? You're the richest person in Terre Haute, Indiana. And that's a lot of chicken. That's hard to get away from because it's a lot of chicken. But I'm from Indiana, and that shit is dry as fuck. That's not the chicken you want, guys.
I wonder if with the chicken thing, like maybe you can wait too long, and then the guy, if you wait too long, then the guy forgets what he's doing and he just eats the chicken himself. You don't get any chicken.
Well, I agree, but no, that's not the point. I get that's what you think. That's why you bark at 7 minutes because you're afraid the chicken will be old by the time it gets to 10 minutes. And I'm saying
no, I'm just saying get to 10 minutes. But if you wait till 20 minutes, then how long would you have stuck with this dog if it never barked?
How about when you came off your mushroom high, you realized you weren't at a Mexican restaurant. You just ordered like a lot of Taco Bell and you just passed out on your couch. And you're like,
yeah, again, you're the dog. I don't want this to be silly. I want this to be. I want this to change their life. You know what I mean?
No, I know.
Like, I want the dumb people to really get it.
When you start doing the time delays, like the early one is that you have jumped into something out of fear that nothing better is going to come along, or that you're going to that the chicken has to. We have to get the chicken now. So on the metaphor, maybe I'm getting a little confused as to whether the metaphor is that you know for a fact that after 10 minutes you're supposed to get the reward, and it's a pleasure delay thing that you're unwilling to do, like the 1 marshmallow, 2 marshmallow experiment, and you're unwilling to do that.
Right.
Or is it a matter of, well, it's more of like the pumping the balloon up, and it's like you keep pumping the balloon, and if it pops, you get nothing. But the bigger the balloon is, the better prize that you get. I think, which is what Brett was referring to a little bit, and it sounds like you don't want to go that route. The idea of like, if I wait too long,
because that's what standard people think. That's the bad thinking. The bad thinking is if I wait too long, somehow I'm going to fuck it up, and that is not the case.
I like to imagine Chris Bowers as a sniper, and the target's lined up, and he's about to shoot, and he's like, "Nope, going to wait a little bit longer."
Yeah, and then you wait longer, and then you see the kid get in the car, and you realize, man, I shouldn't be a sniper. That guy, the kid. Man, I'm glad I waited. I'm going to get way more chicken not murdering this guy.
It'd be a lot easier to kill this kid. I'm so glad I waited. I just want to add, though, that the story about you feeding chicken to a dog at a Mexican restaurant while you're on mushrooms and you're trying to explain the concept of time to it.
Yes.
I think that's so funny. I want more of that. I want to know why sober Chris Bowers knows that probably wouldn't have worked.
I think it would have worked if I just wouldn't have had the patience sober. I had to wait the full 10 minutes myself.
Well, regardless, I want more. I want more of that story. I want more of the thoughts around that story.
Well, the exact moment, this guy came in at one point that was like just one of the hottest people I've ever met. He was like kind of dressed crazy, and that's me saying that. So but he looked like a magician, and I know I always look like a magician, so game knows game, I guess. But literally, he sat down, and my buddy goes, "How those mushrooms hit?" And I go, "Well, that depends. Is that guy real?" And he goes, "Yeah." I go, "Then I'm having a really good time. If that guy was not real, we have a bigger problem we need to talk about."
That's funny.
Honestly, I do think that the magic in magic mushrooms is that when you take them, just weird people just start showing up. You know what I mean? People you're not imagining. You're just like, what are all these fucking weirdos doing out now? Just the day that I happen to be doing drugs.
I think you just notice them more because you're in a different state.
Well, yeah.
It's kind of like when you buy a Honda Civic, all of a sudden all you see is Honda Civics.
Ah, yes, the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, like if you're driving a Baader-Meinhof, you suddenly start noticing all the other Baader-Meinhofs on the road.
Yeah.
All right.
I like waving at all the other Baader-Meinhofs as I drive by them. Like I'll be like, "Oh, you're a Baader-Meinhof. I'm a Baader-Meinhof," and we just wave back.
Ooh, 82 Baader-Meinhof. That was my dad's car.
Is that like the Wrangler wave? Is that what you were doing?
What?
I was asking Powers, were you doing like the Wrangler wave?
That all Jeeps, all boxy trucks. Like you ever see FedEx guys drive by each other? They wave too. Like anybody in the same. Like if your vehicle is the same shape as someone else's vehicle, you generally wave at each other. I think is how it works.
So this weekend, when Kirsten and I were at the movies, we took a break in between movie 1 and 2, and we got food at this big food court that's in the Lower East Side of New York. And there's all these seatings up top and all these different restaurant stalls. And we're eating food on this second level, and I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna go get myself a smoothie. So I go downstairs and get a smoothie, and I see her from there, and just so you know, we see each other, we're like, "Hey, how's it going, baby?" All right, cool. So I'm just waiting for my smoothie. I look back over at her, and she's waving at me again. And I'm just like, "Where I ever waved at you? I'm not waving at you again." So she's just like, and then, but this is the thing that I love about my fiance is that she took my silent staring to just be like, all right, well, now I just have to get more creative with this in order to get a response from Jarret. So she's waving. I'm not waving back. And she starts doing like the royal wave. I'm not doing that. And she tries 2 hands. And then at one point she just goes like this.
Oh, hi, baby.
And then I was like, hey, baby. And she goes, ah.
Great.
Anyways,
great
not
bit.
the tangent, but anything else for Bowers, guys?
No, that's it. I
No,
love
yeah,
that.
thanks, Bowers. Good
Excellent
job.
stuff. That.
Right. Next up, we got Jarret Berenstein.
Hey, that's you.
That is me. Okay. So I wrote this. I think it might be hack. I think it might be done. You guys let me know.
Okay.
Ambulances.
Heard it.
They say ambulance on the front, but it's backwards for when you look in your rearview mirror, right?
Hey,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, here's a bit. The word ambulance is written backwards on the front of ambulances so that when you're driving, you can read it correctly in the rearview mirror. Who is that for, though? We heard the siren, you saw the colors and the flashing lights, and you were like, Eknalubna. What the heck is Eknalubna? I'm not pulling over for Eknalubna. And that only works if you're looking at it through the mirror. So all of us on the street are watching ambulances go by, being like, what the hell is that? That's it.
I like
like
it. I haven't heard
I like
anything
it.
like that, and I think it's great.
When you went from the angle of like growing up, you didn't know that, so your mom just called it an ecnoloba.
Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah.
you were in the dorm and you cut your foot. And you're like, someone call the ecnoloba. I need an ecnoloba. And people are like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, that's exactly the angle I wanted to take too, which was like not that, but like I do like it that it was your whole life, but rather it's like you're arguing that obviously you should get it. You hear the sirens, you see the twirl, like you should put it together. You should put it together so much, in fact, that even if you didn't know what that was, you should just start realizing what an ecnalubma is from now on. So anytime there is an emergency, yeah, you just are like, someone better call an ecnalubna around
Someone
here.
call an Eknalubna.
Yeah.
Ambulances don't need the word ambulance on them at all, frontwards or backwards. It's a big, loud, shiny box that drives real fast with sick people on the inside.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
if you think it's because it's the sirens and it's behind you? You like get up and you like put your hands in the air. You're like, well, I'm sorry, officer. Was I speeding?
I saw a guy. This is a little bit of a tangent. But I saw a guy at the airport. You have to put your hands up in the thing and it spins around you or whatever. They're like, put your hands up, and he laced them behind his head. And I'm like, all right, man, you've been in jail way too many times. You shouldn't be lacing your hands behind your head at the airport, bro.
Oh boy, been here. He was
Like-
as proficient at getting arrested as you were going through the security line.
Right.
He's like, all right, wallet goes here, keys go here, belt goes off, shoes go off, bin for my laptop, bin for my bag.
yeah.
And he was like, I know how this goes. Fingers in between my head.
Yeah, he had premeditated check. Anyway, the angle I would go is like, were there other things when this started that were like ambulance? Like, did the milkman used to have an ambulance and it had sirens, but it was for milk, and that they had to put ambulance on it in the 50s, but now we've grown past that?
I like questioning the idea that we don't know what mirrors are and we're unaware of what they do. So like, like if I were to look in a mirror, I'd be like, yeah, I'm looking in a mirror. Obviously everything's written backwards. So why would I be confused by that? If I looked in the mirror and I saw ambulance perfectly spelled, would I just be like, what's driving on the wrong side of the road? What the hell's going on? Why is everyone backwards behind me?
Oh my God, I'm in the upside down. Oh, Jesus.
Ambulance is the correct way. Everyone else is, like you're freaking out.
That's not where my mole is.
What the hell?
Who is that? Who is that? That's not me. Maybe if you go that route, you could work in something with the objects may appear closer than they are in the side view mirror.
Yeah, there's definitely a joke.
Objects maybe closer than they appear.
Here, yeah.
And every word that you read will be backwards except
I like
ambulance.
that.
Yeah, they put that on the rear view.
Yeah. On the rearview mirror should be, I know it looks like this ambulance is in front of you, but in reality, it's behind you because this is a mirror.
Now,
So
is
just
there
be aware of that?
is there some? And if we're gonna go, we started with gross jokes. Is there some sort of, you've got a tattoo on your chest that's backwards, so when you have sex with a girl doggy style, when she looks in her rearview mirror, you can see it has your name on it, but it says it backwards or something, or I don't know. There's some sort of like I don't know. I went tramp stamp for some reason. I don't know why, but like
When you're having sex with a woman from behind in front of a mirror, like I don't want to scare them, so I got a face tattoo that says "I'm having sex with you," and it's backwards, so you can read it.
it is me, Jarret. We are having consensual sex. That's what it says. So she doesn't think it's an intruder.
I kind of want to put this in like a movie now or something. Like I'm imagining a scenario where some girl got a tramp stamp. It's got words on it, but she doesn't like doing doggy style. And the person's like, why is the tramp stamp then written that way? Like I'll give you a
A
head.
woman
Like,
can't see her own tramp stamp, right? Unless she's got two mirrors up.
oh yeah, it's true. Yeah. Like
Well,
the
if it
tramp
was-
stamp
if
should
it-
be upside
but
down. If you
If,
only like
well, if
giving
it was
head.
upside down, so when she was like
Giving head.
giving head, you could see it. That'd be
Yep.
funny.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I actually had an idea once. I had a guy that wrote this diet book, and he came to me and was like, "You're a motivational speaker. So we developed this merch that we never did it, but it was for people doing this diet system where you got 5 T-shirts. The first one was a XXX, and they went down to large. So they were each color. So as you lost weight, I'm in the red shirt now. It meant you lost like 50 pounds or whatever.
Oh, cool.
But it would all have motivational sayings on the shirts, like one more set or you can do it. But they'd all be backwards. So when you were looking in the mirror at the gym, it was talking just to you. I thought that'd be kind of a cool shirt. But I thought those would be fun motivational shirts too. Like if you were to a bar, it was like, just says you're extremely good looking, but it's like backwards. So when you look in the mirror, it's just talking to you when you go to the bathroom to pump you up at the bar. When you're trying to talk to girls.
For some reason, this idea tickles me, even though I have no examples yet,
Mm-hmm.
of other less important vehicles that have gone through the trouble of writing their words backwards, as if people need to know.
Oh,
like when you
that's
see them,
funny.
they're like, no,
Like
because
Notary Republic. Like, why would you put Notary Republic? Like, you need that in traffic. Like, oh fuck, there he is.
Oh yeah. And or even if it's like one of those like Red Bull wagons, just like I don't need to know. I know you're a Red Bull truck.
Thanks so much for the input on this
Absolutely.
one, guys.
All right.
Great.
Great
And that's-
episode. Chris, thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
Comedy Store tonight, 9:00 roast battle. It's on mintcomedy.com. It's a
This will
stream.
not be out in time.
But
Oh,
can they?
well, then
can
I
they-
have
can they catch it
nothing
later on
to
Mint
going
dot
on. No, I think it's just live stream, but I was on Roast Battle, so that's my big plug. Check it out, SDSC, which all you guys have been on, sdscshow.com. We stream Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 3 p.m. Pacific and Saturdays at noon. Check that out. At Bowers Comedy on all of my socials. Origin Stories. We've got Origin Stories is my podcast. That's also a Patreon thing. Except once a month we do it at nowherecomedyclub.com. And then I'm going to start, I think in August, I'm going to do a thing at Nowhere where it's just once a month. I'm going to do jokes I've written this month and stories, like just stories from LA is what I'm going to call it. It's just shit that happened to me this month and jokes I've written. So we're going to start doing that in August, I think. But yeah, so check that out. I appreciate you guys the input, and this is fun, man. You guys are
Thanks so much for
you.
coming,
Awesome.
doing the
Thank you.
show.
Thanks, Bowers.
anytime, man. I'd love to come back. So this
All
is
right,
great.
awesome.
and outro goes here.
All
Do we
right.
include outro goes here when we edit? Or
sometimes.
Are we supposed to cut that out?
It's whatever.
Sibilance.
I think it's funnier.
Check. How's that sound? Does that sound look good, guys? How's this go?
Yeah, that's
Do
time
another,
for
we
sound
should do
check.
another mic check.
Sound,
One more
mic
mic
check
check.
on the way out.
Yeah.
Sound check on the way out.
Thanks so much for watching. Check back every Monday for new episodes, or you can listen wherever you enjoy podcasts. If you want to help support the show, tell your friends how much you like Is This Anything? Or get involved, like an episode, share, comment, subscribe. If you want more Is This Anything, you gotta join our Patreon at patreon.com/ITAPod. We have a ton of awesome exclusive content on there, and you can join for as little as $1 a month. Check out the links in the description, and hopefully we'll see you next week.